Buenas, bienvenidos a este vídeo de implandivino.net. Vamos a seguir visualizando juntos este encuentro sobre reconocer las adicciones en las relaciones, las adicciones emocionales. Vamos a saludar a Ana Pilar de Argentina.
Hola, muy buenos días.
Se ve bien, ¿verdad? Y se escucha,
Sí.
¿no? Y Claudia, que a lo mejor se tiene que ir dentro de un rato, no sabemos si va a estar toda la... Claudia de Argentina.
Hola, muy buenos días, Iván.
Pues nada, gracias, porque así podemos
Gracias.
grabar estas cosas que hacemos tan curiosas con los subtítulos raros estos que ponemos. Y a ver si no le quito mi micrófono al mío, que se va el volumen de la pantalla, para que lo he hecho algunas veces en los anteriores, no sé si alguien lo habrá visto ya. Bueno, entonces vamos a seguir con ese encuentro. Lo tenemos ahí archivado en la página de los encuentros de 2014, que pertenece a este tema del alma, del yo, de este tema de la página 3. Y lo dejábamos aquí. Iba a empezar esta mujer a comentar algo.
And even God.
And it was safe.
Vamos a volver a donde estaba. Aquí.
I just realised from what Alan was saying that because I've spent most of my life in a relationship with myself, obviously I chose that because I was fulfilling all of my addictions, so that was much more comfortable than having a relationship with anybody else and even God.
And it was safe.
That was, yeah.
So for safety and addictions, it's a lot of times that's what we do too.
Yeah, I thought I was avoiding all my addictions by having a relationship with myself.
Yeah. There's a word for that,
Far out. I just realised. Thanks, Alan.
So basically, I just don't want a relationship with God, do I, in the end? If it just comes down to that one thing. I want to have a relationship with everybody else that's going to meet my addictions and anybody else that's going to feed me good feelings. But God's not going to do any of those things, none of them. So we might just go for a quick break, let you have a little bit of a pee first. Sorry, you've got one question?
I just meant, yes, I want to go for a quick break and a quick pee.
Yeah. Cool, all right, we'll come back in about 5 minutes.
No,
Thanks, guys. There is drawn the diagram here before, so we still understand the diagram. We have a certain compulsion going on inside of ourselves to just insatiable. Just got to have it. That sort of feeling coming up inside of ourselves. We just got up. And so we go and look for something that's just going to feed it. So we just go and find it. Yeah, baby, I feel good with you. So now I've got my addiction met with this woman. That sort of feeling, it feels nice and fuzzy and feels safe and everything's feeling great. Well, that's awesome. But then she don't like me anymore. She thinks I'm needy. Oh, what? I'm not needy? I want you bad, but I'm not needy. Like, so my addiction's not getting met from her anymore. And I start getting, you need me too. You must need me. She's going, I don't need you. You're just like a little boy. Like, you want your mum, I think. I get all fuzzy about it, and she breaks up with me, all sad again. So we go look for another one. So we know the cycle. So it's pretty messy, huh? I've been doing that cycle all my life, and it's pretty messy. I've had enough of it. Something better out there. I'm chasing that. So what are some of the things I can do to recognise my own addictions? Throw it out to you guys. Anybody? How these are?
I've actually found that process really hard to see it. And I think the only things that I've done is sort of starting to observe, well, one, hearing stuff and being told truth about it.
So having intellectual awareness first, wanting to find out. So.
Yeah, and then kind of a wanting to find out, and then, like if I'm specific for now, example, like some stuff that's happening with my dad, I realised then like that was the same thing that I'm wanting from Pete.
So starting to connect the two feelings. So first you have to have a will to find out.
Yes.
Second, you had to want to start seeing it.
So that process you guys talked about yesterday.
Peter es su pareja, como ya vimos.
Is, I suppose, what's happened. I can't say that I've let any of them go yet, but I can now, it feels a bit icky on some subjects. Some of them I still can't see.
Yeah, you're starting to see them more clearly. So first it's going to take our will, isn't it? Want to see it. So, because an addiction is part of it. It's our feelings, based from our feeling, is driven from our feelings that we don't want to feel. So we need to start wanting to feel. So it's going to be a very important part of wanting to identify your addictions. Yes, Cecily? Almost.
I have a really distinct physical body thing that I recognise. And
so observing what's going on in your physical body, reactions?
Yeah, and it's a really fast-paced, like, pulse, and I got a picture of, like, jaws, you know, the dum, 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 and that's what happens inside me, I realised, just about all the time.
So how does that help you find your addiction?
Well, it's a signal to me.
That you're in an addiction or starting to getting one?
Yes, that just being in that state is an addiction, I've realised, because it numbs me, and I'm just in that state and I can't feel anything. I can't feel any softness.
Yeah,
it's like being on speed.
Yeah, we want to try and find some of the things up here, even Mary's got. We may not even notice ourselves like in addiction first, and we start realizing, beforehand we don't notice when we get into them, but often we notice when we're in them. And we start noticing these two things happening. One, we're feeling great and fuzzy, or another one we can point out for is looking for when it's not getting met, we're starting to get angry. So anger is always a good indication someone's not meeting my addiction. When I get in the warm fuzzies, I'm in my addiction. So we can start looking out for those things as well. So what do my addictions look like? What's it look like before I meet them? Feeling words. What sort of feeling? What does it look like? I think someone gave you a demonstration just before. I think it was me. What are the feelings that were going on in that demonstration?
To me, they feel enticing. It's like they're enticing me. Is that what you're asking?
Enticed, yeah.
Before I even meet them. There's a feeling of enticement, of something coming up. So,
getting drawn?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Joy. And Pete?
I feel needy, and it's kind of like if I don't get this from someone, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I just need this.
Need?
It's like,
what's the need feel like?
Feels hollow and empty, and
feel the energy of it. What's the energy like?
The energy, it's kind of demanding.
Okay, yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
This is not very good, that one. Mary's given you a hint already. Pete?
I had the same as Joy.
Did you?
The neediness.
Did I? Roll at the back.
It feels overwhelming for me, like, gotta have this, whatever it is.
What's the energy feeling like?
Yeah. Just full on, like.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We're getting full on. I'll give you a hint. First, Mary gave you a hint up here. It was compulsion, that feeling of just wanting to have it. It's like a driven, sort of frenzied feeling, like it's insatiable, just obsessed almost. Those sort of feelings, they'll be the first ones that start coming up. That's when we start noticing that's our addiction, the feeling of it, the feeling of the addiction. So we're looking out for those ones. There's some of the words here. Compulsion, obsession, frenetic, frenzy, insatiable urge, infatuation, desperation. That's a really good one too, because you feel quite desperate to have it. So how does this feel before you begin? A relationship, like before you're in a relationship, when you're single, what's it like then when you're sort of by yourself and you want to have a relationship, or you desire to have a relationship? Louisa?
I just feel embarrassed about this, but it's like you're kind of like this scout, you know, you're like potential. Yeah. Who's there? Oh, yeah. What does that one make me feel? Oh, no. Avoid that one. Oh, that one might be okay. Oh, no. It's like pretty gross.
Yeah, like a window shopping pervert almost, like looking for certain emotions I can get.
Exactly.
Almost like you're a dirty stalker. What's she got going on? What can I get from her? Like,
except I'm like trying not to look like that.
Yeah.
So even though it's like, oh, I'm not like
trying
that.
To hide it.
Yeah, it's like.
Joyce, yeah.
Actually, I was so desperate that I would say yes to the first person that was offered to me.
So you love the perverted stalkers?
Yes.
Like, yeah. It's addiction, isn't it? And just trying to please them. So you look for anybody that comes along. You're quite willing to enter addictions in this stage. As soon as something comes along, yeah. We're not too picky sometimes, are we, in our addictions? So what do my addictions feel like when I meet them? When they're met? Matt? And Louisa?
It's kind of like an orgasm, really.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, in whatever way, whatever kind of addiction it is.
People chase that feeling anyway.
Yeah.
It's an orgasm of the heart. That's not really, is it? Is it?
Yeah, I can't identify with that yet, but mine's more like the unloved or like the ones up on the board, you know, like, oh no, when I meet them.
Yeah, when they're met and me, like when I get one.
Oh, sorry, I was
already in that. Because the first one was
session.
a feeling of what's it like to try and before it even starts.
Yeah. I'd say I feel
just this side here.
Feel loved.
Yeah. Feel loved?
Yeah. Oh, I just don't anymore though, so I can't even say that. Like it just feels fake, and it's like I get this. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, cool. And then I'm like, ugh.
So what's an energy feeling of when you first had the addictions met?
I suppose I actually just feel like karma. It's like, yeah, everything's okay now.
Oh.
Well, I don't. Depends what you're talking about. I don't.
It feels awesome.
But I don't always feel awesome. I just don't have an awesome feeling very often.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more like a I just feel sad, I suppose safe and relief for a bit.
So it's more like the safety you're looking for, is it then?
Yeah, I think so. And secure, a security. I'd love to say that I had your little demonstration, but I can't say that I do very often.
Thanks. Okay. And then
I feel successful.
So these feelings give us another feeling, don't they? Feel happy, wanted, needed. It's like, oh, it's a relief now. Someone's like, I have an addiction met. It's like, oh, the world feels better. It feels safe. It feels more in control now. I can just go and be myself, right? And once the compulsion, or once the I call it fuzzy pumping sometimes. It just feels like all the warm fuzzies just come up inside yourself, and I just feel nice and fuzzy now. It's like, if the addiction's met, but it's a relief that, like, so before it was like that. Now I had a frenzied feeling, a desperate feeling. It's almost the end of that. That once the addiction's met, it's that calm sort of feeling, relaxed sort of feeling. So, okay, what does the addiction met feel like when I'm in a relationship? Once it's met, I'm in the relationship. What's going on then?
worthy and special.
Yeah. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels like I'm somebody at last, and I felt like a nobody before. Where did I go to, Al?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I feel loved and respected and noted. I'm seen.
Yeah, have worth again.
Yeah, self-worth, yeah.
Sometimes for me, it just gets boring.
Yeah.
And I want to find it more exciting.
So you're over the addiction pretty quick, just got it met.
Yeah.
What's it feel like when you just got it met, though, originally?
Really exciting and powerful. And,
Inside yourself you feel
worthy and loved and worthwhile.
Isn't that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
So we've got what we want. We're pretty happy now, aren't we? So what do I feel when my addictions are not met? After a while, that good feeling I was pretty satisfied with starts disappearing. Laura? Christian?
That maybe he's not the right one.
What's the feeling like then? So
the feeling is a doubt that it's a doubt that it was just a bond in the first place.
Still?
Disappointed.
Disappointment? Yep. It's a long word. Matt and Karen.
Abandoned or unwanted.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling, isn't it? Well, it's not a good feeling, but it's a good answer.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling. But
what do we feel when we don't get those feelings met? Like, how do we feel? Because the addiction's not getting met, the person's not doing it for us anymore. We want them to, so what's that feeling like? Just ask them. And sorry, Karen, keep yours. Did you have an answer to that one?
Yeah, I feel empty. There's something missing.
And how do you feel when that thing's taken away, though? So it feels like it's taken away and it's not being met. So someone's withdrawn the thing that we like, the good feeling from. So what do we feel like then towards the person, towards a relationship?
Pretty resentful.
Yeah, that's a really good word. Let's wake a few things up and give us an idea. So we got annoyance, anger, rage, injustice, indignation. Are we familiar with those feelings? It's happened a few times probably at some stage, I'm sure. So what does the addiction not being met feel like in a relationship? What goes on in the relationship then? What's the actions?
Arguments.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, arguing.
Yeah, trying to maintain it back, trying to get it back. Yeah.
I'm right. You start withdrawing your side of the bartering.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could,
Yeah,
you
if I'm
know,
not getting it, you're not getting that
stop
sort of
you.
thing. Yeah, it gets it. Quite like stamping the foot down, doesn't it? The relationship's not going to go too well then.
Yeah, look, sadly to say, projections, like really intense projections can happen until you start feeling of rage, until you start feeling remorse about it, and then you might just go to the axe and
That
block.
stage, there's not a lot of remorse going on. It's like just wanting to get it back. It's almost like the same feeling back here. The compulsions happen. Again, wanting to get it back again, frenzy, trying to do what you can to get it back.
Yeah, no,
it's interesting. It usually pushes the person further away.
It's horrible.
It brings the feeling up even more. Dave?
And sometimes I've actually felt quite terrified in that place as well.
Yeah.
When they pull back.
And it's like the panic again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do when you start panicking?
Try and get it met again, I guess.
Yeah, addiction. Yeah, get straight back into another one again.
Go grab another one.
Yeah. Because that's the way we're so used to it. So yeah, it's a horrible cycle, isn't it? Yeah. So next one. So what do my addictions feel like when I become conscious that I have them and been living in them and I want them? I want them.
To me, very dirty and sort of slimy.
Yeah, they start feeling a bit yucky, don't they?
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. I'm going to start realising they're not so nice anymore, and I start becoming a little bit sort of aware of the damage I might be doing as well.
I feel a mixture of rebellion and guilt.
When you're conscious, when
I'm conscious that that they're there, I become rebellious because I want to continue with the addiction, but I feel guilty that I'm doing it.
Yeah, sort of like some shame, maybe, or
yeah, shame's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the times you can feel like there's some ones up here. Feel like your energy's being sucked from us. But that's what it feels like when I'm starting to be aware that my husband's not so nice anymore. It just feels like he's always taking from me. He doesn't ever give. I can feel there's never giving feeling coming from him. What am I doing? Like, it just doesn't start feeling nice anymore. I start recognising that something's going on. So somebody's pulling from me and taking from me. We don't often realise that we're doing something in return at that stage. We start becoming aware that something's not right, isn't it?
I feel like a lot less enthusiastic about it, about the addictive cycle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still doing it, but yeah. I don't know how to describe that.
Like,
yeah, it's just like
so good anymore.
it's not really that much fun.
Yeah.
Actually. And yuck. Yeah, hard and yuck.
So, where have we headed? I might just go to the next one, actually. Keep moving on. Just another one, good one there was shame and repulse. That's probably much what you're getting to with that. Just about it starts feeling like a repulsion about the thing we're doing. Like even in a relationship, we start feeling repulsed towards the thing we're doing with them. It starts feeling quite horrible. Yeah. Well, I don't sort of answer that. What does like a consciousness of my addiction feel like when I'm in a relationship? When I start becoming conscious of it, what actions might I take? Laura, and Christine.
For me, I'm realizing, and I get to the stage where I know that I want love that's not love, but I try to turn to God, but I get angry at that relationship because I just don't feel that God can give me the like.
What's in your addictive relationship though?
Yeah, I'm wanting to substitute that with God. Like, that person can't give me that, so I want it from God, but I know God's not going to give me that, so I feel helpless.
So basically, it's just substituting one addiction for another, wanting God to give me the same thing I was in addiction with.
Yeah, because if I can't get it from another human being, and I don't know how I'm going to get it from God, I feel help, like I don't know what to do.
Just give up, sort of thing.
Not give up, just like, where's it going to come from? Like, there's no love, and that just no love feeling's quite scary. So I'll go back to the person because I can't get that from God.
Staying in the relationship in a way. We'll get to that one soon.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's a help. I thought it was just more like desperate, helpless. Yeah.
Joy, I had something, Christiana. Sorry.
Yeah. I get self-punishing. I beat myself up really badly. So.
Yeah, so it's still an addiction, isn't it, too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might go on to the next point, actually. So what do my addictions feel like when I'm in codependency? It's sort of getting to that in a way. Do you know what codependency is? Do you? We've been doing it for years, forever. It's a good idea if you know what it is. I think we'll talk about that actually soon. There we go. Codependency requires a bartering system between two people. Like, you give me this and I'll give you that. We got a perfect match. We're pretty happy. We're both happy until one person takes a bit more, like we just talked about in the last question, and doesn't feel so good anymore. It's pretty much what you call emotional prostitution, really. Because we're willing to give something to somebody in exchange for something to get a good feeling from it. That's out of harmony with love. Sounds pretty icky when you sort of look at it in that terms, doesn't it? This one's really... So what does it feel like in a relationship when you all said you were in one. You've all been in relationships, so you should have the answer for this one. What does it feel like, a codependent relationship?
Kind of feels like I'm in a role, I'm fulfilling a role.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just everybody's in their role, doing their job, supplying the thing for that person, the other person supplying the thing for that person. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, and by society standards, I'm doing a good job.
As long as the role, you keep doing your role.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't... start doing your role, is going to be all hell to pay.
Yeah.
That's what it's like in a relationship, isn't it? When the role starts fading off a bit, the other person's not pulling their weight and you're giving, but they're not giving back.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say before I start to feel fear then, that if I'm conscious of it, that I could lose the relationship if I don't feel that role, then there's a fear that the relationship can end.
You're going to have to enter this cycle again.
Yeah.
Karen?
It feels loveless.
Feels...
Loveless.
Loveless, yeah. But often we don't feel that, do we?
Oh, it just
unless we're aware of it, because it feels usually quite
dead.
good in a way.
Dead.
Yeah, it is loveless, that's true, but often it feels quite like everything's pretty much managed, I suppose. We've managed our life perfectly. We've hit our comfort zone, and this is where I want to stay right now. Don't anybody mess it up, particularly my husband.
But there's no excitement there.
No, that's it. It starts becoming quite flat, like flatlining, basically, the lover in the relationship, if there's any there at the beginning. Yeah. We have Dave. Then we'll go on to the next question.
Feels flat and lifeless.
Yeah, there's nothing left in it, is there really? But we still have enough addictions met to want to stay in it for some reason. There's enough that it's almost like a sort of just satisfied, or just it'll do. Sort of covers me closely, keeps me safe, doesn't what's the word? Ruffle the feathers in the relationship and pretty much put them back in place. Otherwise, we don't give the addiction back to the person. It's also like we put up with things a lot, we sacrifice ourselves a lot now. So what does a codependency feel like in a relationship? It's placating the man with the angry woman. This is pretty common, isn't it? You know that one? Yeah. The man's willing to go and he's willing to give up his will and just agree with the angry woman just so the angry woman can give him sex. Whenever he keeps her happy, he gets sex. That's pretty good for him, huh? The angry woman gets to feel powerful over the man, so she gets something out of it as well, with her anger. Or the wife who does everything for the man who wants to be mothered. It's pretty common as well, isn't it? There's a pretty common thing to see in relationships. Well, even to the worst of cases, the abused woman gets to avoid responsibility, financial responsibility, because a man must give her lots of money, and he looks after the money, as long as she bothers for occasional violence, occasional beating. The violent partner gets to feel needed in power and in control. The woman gets to feel like she's looked after, even though she's willing to be hurt for that too. So move on. So what do my addictions feel like when I'm actually abusing others? When I know I'm in an addiction with the person, I'm aware this is what I'm doing. I'm aware this is in the codependent relationship, this is what I'm trying to get from that person. So what does it feel like? What do I get out of that?
It's cold and callous and like powerful, condescending kind of.
Yeah, we're after some sort of control of power.
Yeah, power.
Yeah, we don't really care about the other person in that process at all.
Not even remotely.
We just want to keep what we want to get and not really concerned about them. If it was a bartering system, we don't want to really keep our end of the bargain all the time.
No.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, sorry, here. Teresa?
I get to stay in control.
Yeah, we get to feel powerful. We get to feel like some sense of control and things. Like a lot of times we enter the relationship because we feel out of control. So look for a person that we can manipulate and control and be in a relationship with them so we can feel in control. To try and avoid our fear of being out of control for something happening in our life. Yeah, well, that's one. To use methods of coercion and manipulation. It's pretty common in relationships. We disguise it as love. We try and want to make it look more pretty, sugar it up a little bit, and try and get the other person to keep continuing it on. So how does this feel in our relationships? How does this feel like in our relationships with our children? Eloisa?
I think it feels pretty much the same, except that you're
what does it look like? What sort of that bit in a
just
feeling
some
sense?
examples. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, you want examples of what actually happens?
Yeah. What's a codependent relationship with your children look like or feel like? What are you trying to do it for?
Because I want them to love me.
Yeah, so you're trying to get love from them.
Yep.
Yep. So you're trying to extract love from the relationship with the child.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted them to behave in a certain way so that it would look like I was a good parent.
Yep. So trying to keep the facade up with everybody else and using your children to get that.
There's a substitution that happens. So you're not going to get love from God. You're not going to get love from a man. So you're actually going to trap your children in this cycle that they're yours. It's an ownership thing.
So there'll be the surrogate husband and the surrogate wife. We end up using the children for that. It's pretty terrible stuff, isn't it? So we're sort of grooming the child to be our supply all our emotional needs. Manipulate the child's will. Like we'll give it some lollies and stuff just to get it to do things like, if you stop doing that, and if you do be good, I'll give you a lolly. You start manipulating them and controlling the child's behaviour with force in order to feel in control rather than for the purpose of educating them in God's laws. We've always put that last, we seem to, don't we, while we're in addiction. We don't care about God's laws. We don't even want to know them ourselves. So not like wanting to love the child in the first place. We're using a child to get a feeling met, which is not a very good thing at all. It just continues a cycle of damage. Why do I have no interest in developing a relationship with God and only have an interest in developing relationships with people?
Because God won't meet our addiction.
Exactly. That's spot on. We look for relationships with people because it's like we want that quick fix all the time, don't we? We want to make it easy. We don't have to go through pain. So we want to look for the quick fix all the time. It's the people that's going to meet that addiction. But with God, it's not going to work like that. Never. It will never work like that with God. So we try and avoid God at all costs. It doesn't make us feel good instantly. We don't want to have to do the work. We don't want to have to be involved. We don't want to have to emotionally have to. It's the only way you're going to get. There is to emotionally open up. It's the last thing we're trying to do. We want to try and shut that down. We're scared about what's inside of ourselves. And so as we said, people meet our addictions because we want codependency with people so we can barter our feelings, because we give people instant gratification, straight away, because people want bartering systems. We don't want anything different. We want this. We've got to realise how much we want this. How much we want to get it from people. How much we want to avoid it from God, the relationship. And we're willing, we've got to realise how much we want this. We're desperate, we're frenzied. We're infatuated with getting it. We've got to start feeling that feeling, how much we're trying to get our addictions, how desperate we are to have them satisfied instead of looking at our hurt and our fears. So God does none of these things in your relationship. He won't give you any of those things, none of these feelings in here. He'll give you those in a different way, but you'll just not get them met. It's not in the system. God isn't in this system. So if you're looking for God, you've got to go away from this system. Mary will tell you a little bit about that later. So what are the advantages of seeing my addictions? There's got to be advantages, doesn't there? Eloisa?
I can actually do something about them.
Yes, you can. Everybody feels like we're hopeless and helpless. You can do something about them. You've got the awesomest gift in the world, it's free will. You can choose whatever you want to do. That's a very good one. I'm just going to write that up there. It's free will. The thing is, what am I going to do with it? Laura? No.
Through all of this, I can just see so clearly how I want God to interfere, not interfere, but come into this process, which means that if I did feel a bit of God's love while I'm in that, I get to avoid the whole hurt self, which is going to get closer to my real self.
Yeah.
So that's really brought the clarity of why would I be given something that would instantly help me avoid all of the feelings inside of me, all the frozen parts of myself, which I want to claim and be.
Sí, y esta es la chica que antes hablaba de algo que hila con este discurso de ahora. O sea, si sintiera, o sea, como que no, para hablar de cómo no se puede meter en la adicción a Dios, ¿no? Y el amor de Dios. Si uno quiere que entre ahí, claro, el ejemplo que ella ponía antes es eso, ¿no? Estaba en la relación, pero aún estando dentro de ella y dentro del ciclo de la adicción, intentar meter la relación con Dios ahí y entonces sentirse mal y proyectar contra Dios, digamos. Porque querría que la adicción con Dios fuera eso, ¿no? Seguir en el ciclo de la adicción y evitar todo el yo herido, y eso me acerca, pero dentro de la adicción, o sea, no me acercaría, pero parecería. O sea, sería lo que buscaría adictivamente. O sea, es como que se ha dado cuenta, le ha caído una especie de ficha, ¿no? Para que podría querer que me dieran algo que al instante me ayude a evitar todo, ¿no? Todas esas partes congeladas que en realidad queremos reclamar para estar completos, ¿no? Es una parte que está un poco así, pero creo que hila con lo que ha dicho antes y más o menos se pilla.
Whole, right?
Possibility for personal growth.
Yeah, all of that would be gone if God just gave me my addiction straight away.
O sea, este es el tema, que ahora lo van a decir, todo el crecimiento, la posibilidad de crecimiento desaparece si Dios fuera adictivo con nosotros, ¿no? Lógicamente.
Hey, God doesn't give addictions.
Yeah, but I never thought what a great thing, because it would avoid all my growth and my richness of going into my hurt self and experiencing all my parts of myself.
So the benefit would be, just in a word?
In a word, enlightening, like the clarity of
for yourself
of seeing my addictions and knowing that there is a process of no one's going to take that away from me magically.
So would you have faith then that was if you started developing, getting out of that system and trying God's system?
Yeah, I'd see the full spectrum, like more, I'd see.
Yeah, that's what happens. You do. Once you start getting out of that, you start opening your eyes up to lots of things because you've opened up your heart. God's created the world via the soul of one heart. Is designed for you to experience it like that. And so you start opening up to the whole entire world, all things around you. You start feeling people properly. You start knowing when you're getting manipulated. You start being sensitive to your own feelings. You want the addiction, that doesn't feel good. I didn't know I had that one. I got to deal with that one. You start becoming very sensitive. You start getting out of this cycle and more into God's cycle of growth and love. So it increases your awareness, yeah.
Mm.
We had someone, where the mic go? Up there.
So you've got your free will and you're choosing differently, and you can start to feel good about yourself once you understand God's sort of version of ethics and morality. So
In time that'll happen.
Yeah.
At first it won't feel so good because
No, but once you start seeing your addictions, I feel,
it does. It feels like you've got a sense of knowing what's going on in life, as in
there's safety in that. Like you said, everything God does is love, and then once you realise the addictions is the advantages of seeing your addictions, it's like you can just sort of start to open up to love. Not that you can, I don't know, that the opening's real, but the awareness sort of starts to.
So you have a direction now.
Yeah.
Whereas before this is a cycle, so it hasn't got any direction except back on itself. So you know you can go somewhere, you can grow, you can actually have different experiences rather than the same old experiences all the time.
Yeah, like keep going around that cycle.
Yeah, and while they may not feel as good as the addictions at first, you start having faith that they actually work. So you know the addictions don't work, so you try them lots of times. So it's quite empowering in the end. For ourselves.
In the end,
And self-confidence building in ourselves, in our soul also. Trusting that's what it can do. I've written a few up here, so I'm going to keep moving on, actually. So real growth in love now becomes possible inside of ourselves as we get out of this cycle that doesn't have any real love in it at all. Obviously, get out of the addiction cycle. True love in relationships with myself and education of myself in love is now possible. Before I was believing that these were the way to go, but now I'm re-educated. I'm starting to re-educate myself where the real feeling of love comes from. I don't have to keep going on this cycle to just try and find a good feeling. And then I've got to go somewhere else and do some work with it. I've got to be engaged in it. I've got to use my will for it. A real relationship with God is now possible too. But now I'm choosing to feel, I'm choosing to connect with my soul. That's the only way you're going to have a relationship with God is via your soul, via your feelings and emotions. Now I'm starting to open up to them. It's like opening my door and God's opening, or God's door's always open, but you're opening your door up to allow some truth and some feelings from God in. A real relationship is possible now with my soulmate. So you won't find your soulmate in that little system there at all. You just find shitty relationships. They won't be ever satisfying. And the way towards God made the souls and the soulmates. You have to start finding out from God what it's like in this system. A real loving relationship with children, friends, environment is also now possible. Lots of things change when you get rid of the addictions. It all opens up to love instead of pseudo-love in all areas. I will no longer be influenced by people, whether I can see them or not. This is including spirits. When you're in addictions, spirits love those people. They're the ones that they get their addictions fed through. And they're all nice and quiet. You can't see them, so you don't even know half the time it's happening because you don't want to be aware. You don't want to feel. So you won't even, because you can't see them, you have to feel them. It's the only way you're going to know they're there. And if you don't want to feel, they're going to be getting away with lots of stuff. But as you start working through your addictions, you'll start this and become more sensitive emotionally. You start becoming sensitive that the feelings, it's not really my feeling. If someone's pushing me on that, like if I might have a compulsion to go and eat food and think, hang on, I was dating not long ago, my stomach's full. I actually feel full. What am I going to get food for again? Well, I want chippies. I do, but I don't really want them now, but I do. And you have to start working through that little cycle of feeling the compulsion pushing at you and realising logically my stomach's full. Logically, I'm not hungry. But I'm feeling this compulsion, there's something going on. So what's going on? I'm starting to get sensitive now. Someone's trying to push me to do it because they want to have some sort of sensation out of it. I start becoming very sensitive to spirits then too. So in conclusion, we learned today why we want our addictions met. Because it gives us a good feeling. We learn how to recognize our addictions. We have to start feeling this feeling of compulsion, those sort of feelings, a frenzied feeling. The first feeling that comes up, you just got to go do something. Just like pushed, it feels like you just must have it. Just start noticing that feeling. That's the very beginning of the cycle. You might not notice it at first until you're sometimes in it, but at least start being aware of that, what to look for. The benefits of letting go of all of our addictions, we're going to have a better life. We're going to have a happier life. We're going to have a fulfilling life, and it's going to keep growing. And it won't stop there. It won't be just one little bit of niceness. It's going to keep getting better. Forever. Forever. If you choose God's system, that is. We want to get out of addictions. So unless I'm willing to learn what love actually is and be taught by the creator of love, I'll be leading a life with only the result possible being a painful existence. It's the only possible result for addictions. This is the road to pain and suffering. The other road is eternal growth and love and all the good feelings you're trying to chase for addictions. I know which one I want to take. So we've got some homework for you guys. Your pen's handy. You can probably just read it. I'll read it out, but you can just go through it in your own time. Write down, and we're going to go through this on, I think it's one day. I've got to use my fingers. 1 day, 2 days. I think it's in 3 days. 2 days are coming up. I think it's one more day, a day off, and then the next day after that. Is that correct? You don't use your fingers. Thursday, whatever day's Thursday is, that's when we're doing it. Write down every time you felt compelled, obsessed, infatuated, and in frenzy, those sort of feelings. Write down what you do when you satisfy the compulsion. The compulsion is not satisfied. I think there's another one there. Write down what frustrates you about your relationship with God. I'll leave you to write that. I just want to thank you for your time today. Mary will come up next with challenging addictions down this podcast.
Buenas, pues hasta aquí. Pues estáis vivas.
Sí.
Sí, estoy.
Está bien. Pues, ahí si queréis comentar algo sobre cómo, por ejemplo, Ana estaba en unos cursos de educación sexual integral, ¿no? Algo así que tenéis. Y el tema este de esta dinámica tan sencilla es como chocante que no se cuente, ¿no? Es muy raro. Pero bueno, no sé si os ha surgido algo. Si no, pues Es que, bueno, es muy denso todo lo que nos pide sentir, ¿no? Se nos pueden venir un mogollón de recuerdos de cómo son las sensaciones. Pues es que en general es como que lo tenemos claro, ¿no? La cosa es practicar el tema de eso, de querer darse cuenta realmente de lo que es una compulsión, ¿no?
Yo quería comentar, Iván,
Sí.
que bueno, la relación, ayer en el video de ayer, más o menos conté, pero por si alguien no lo ve así consecutivo, es que, bueno, cuando se produce la fractura definitiva, entre comillas, entre el que era mi esposo y yo, que justamente no se produce por una decisión mía, teníamos el ciclo, teníamos todo así exactamente configurado como está ahí descrito, íbamos, veníamos, toda una secuencia, un patrón absolutamente predecible, pero lo que hace es que él con la persona con la que la última vez que estando juntos, él estaba en relación con otra mujer, entonces lo que hace es que él cambia el patrón y se junta con esa mujer, o sea, cosa que no venía haciendo. Entonces a mí por supuesto me desestabilizó un montón, porque al no ser mi decisión me quita como en un arrebato, digamos, la posibilidad de seguir satisfaciendo mi adicción, y bueno, fue muy doloroso, muy doloroso, pero yo también después intento sustituir como lo venimos haciendo, digamos, generalmente cuando, como decían ahí, decía Eloísa, andás escaneando y viendo quién puede darte. Y no tuve muchas tampoco, pero sí tuve, y pude ver también el patrón, incluso una vez lo comentamos en un video, que tenían algo que ver con mi papá, por ejemplo. La mayoría de las personas en en aspectos, así, cualidades, me daba cuenta que estaba buscando eso, el reconocimiento de él, y algunas otras que no eran similares en todos, pero que me recordaban a papá. Pero a lo que iba con esto es que yo anoté ahora que sentía, Iván, yo sentía la repulsión por lo que estaba haciendo, digamos, que no me pasó con Gustavo, en este caso, que es, digamos, que el papá de mis hijos, no me pasó con él, pero sí con las otras parejas. Incluso me molestaba, digo pareja, pero bueno, porque fue una relación un poco, por decir, entre comillas, a largo plazo. Me molestaba, en uno de los casos de ellos tenía que viajar yo 800 kilómetros. Vivía lejos y yo me iba. Hasta me sentía, fíjate cómo uno logra suprimir, ¿no? Y continuar y perseverar en la conducta desamorosa, pese a todo lo que sentía. Pues yo noté estas emociones que ellos dijeron, bueno, ¿cómo se siente cuando empezás a tomar conciencia? Yo no digo que tomaba conciencia porque perseveraba, pero sentía vergüenza, asco, culpabilidad, autocastigo, dolor, muerto, plano, que anotaron ahí, sin vida. Bueno, yo sentía como ya en esta etapa estaba intentando justificar algo que por debajo no tenía sustento, digamos. Y cada vez me costaba más, cada vez me representaba mucha energía, digamos, un esfuerzo, sacrificio, dijo Cornelio, por tratar de sostener. Pero ya no era para nada, yo no sentía, no me acercaba, pero lo que me costó, digamos, reconocer eran estos sentimientos. Los negaba con más fuerza todavía, después de haber pasado por el dolor. O sea, ese dolor no me sirvió como para, o no lo usé, o mi voluntad no usé para ver qué sucedía, para detenerme ahí, sino, bueno, busqué enseguida algo.
El nivel de lo simple que es, contrastado con el nivel de ignorancia que tenemos, a base de, durante tantos años, cultivar el alejamiento del yo real, con todas las instituciones y todas las... Es que es todo muy raro esto. Sí.
Sí, supongo que la vergüenza y estas emociones que generalmente estamos entrenados a a no sentir, a no exteriorizar, a no tomar contacto, pero son como más, si se quiere, no sé si la palabra es profunda, pero o honestas sería la palabra, no sé, es como que son más rápidamente evadidas. Digamos, yo siento que huimos, digamos, de ellas y tratamos, porque yo en eso me doy cuenta ahora cuando describen el ciclo y puedo ver que no me sentía bien, no me sentí bien ninguna vez más, a pesar de que lo otro era adicción, pero era como que estaba muy, ¿cómo puedo decir?, complementado, como decía él, las parejas era así, yo era así, él era así, como que encajaba perfecto. En los otros casos sí habían algunas similitudes, pero ya no podía sostener y me sentí en esto muy interpelada, digamos, ahora claro. Sí, yo tomé contacto con eso, sí recuerdo la vergüenza, sí recuerdo, incluso intenté, por ejemplo, plantear en la relación y no lo podía sostener, digamos, siempre la otra persona imponía, como decía él, como que, bueno, vamos de nuevo, esa supuesta reconquista, o sea, todo lo que es para justificar. Y sí, una vez en una de las oportunidades incluso llegué a sentirme bastante maltratada, si se quiere, que sé que tiene que ver conmigo, no con el otro ahora, pero estaba como a 3.000 kilómetros de mi casa, o sea, era difícil salir de ahí y sola, digamos, como que hasta dónde me llevé en ese nivel de dolor increíble, de autoflagelo.
Pero que si es una nube del cambio de relación a otra, yo no sé si os ha pasado una vez que entre medias los guías o la inspiración notáis algo, un mensaje como que parece deciros que como que el amor no es lo que estás haciendo, aprovechando el hueco que hay entre dos relaciones. Como que eso sí. Lo detecto que me pasó algo así, como que hubiera habido, para aprovechar ese hueco, una entrada de otro tipo de amor de parte de los guías o algo así, entre medias, justo cuando iba a cargarla, entrando en una relación después de soltar otra. Y además es que cuando estás en esa cosa, en esa nube, es como que estás en una borrachera que no sabes para nada, de nada, es que completamente vives en el yo herido, no quieres mirar eso, la vergüenza que has dicho, y a las otras personas, por supuesto, no importan, ¿no? O sea, las relaciones, vale que estás en su ley de la atracción y te han atraído y son también, tienen responsabilidad, y al final la gente no es que uno deje a otro, al final es como que todo el mundo es responsable de abandonarse mutuamente también en parte, ¿no? Desde el alma, ¿no? Pero sí, que te importan un pepino, ¿no? Lo que sienten, porque tú estás acostumbrado toda la vida a que importa un pepino. Desde pequeño tenemos la herida de que no importa una mierda, lo que tú tienes que guardarte la vergüenza, el miedo, no sé qué. Claro, y luego llegamos y somos un niño de 2 años con patas de 30. O sea, es que es horrible.
Sí, sí. Sí, ahora en realidad me gustó, a pesar de, digamos, la claridad, como dice en un momento Eloísa, me gustó ver eso, digamos, reconocer ese en mi proceso. Sé que es doloroso y triste, muy triste, pero me gustó poder ver cómo uno, hasta qué punto uno tomar conciencia para practicar la ley del arrepentimiento. Sí.
Yo hasta este momento es como que un paralelo con mi vida hasta este momento, ¿sí? Cuando fui anotando algunas cosas, esto de cuando cuando satisfago mis adicciones, cuando no satisfago, esto de sentirse digna, valiosa, poderosa, cuando uno satisface sus adicciones. Y si no satisfago, la duda, el no sentirse deseada, el resentida, como que me siento identificada con esas palabras, con esas sensaciones. Y como decía Cornelio, uno se vuelve más sensible a como que percibe, lo que decías vos, Claudia, en el momento que uno va, recorre distancias, cruza un montón hace sacrificios, dice, oh, cómo estoy amando, ¿sí? Qué capacidad de amar que tengo. Y en este momento te das cuenta que si te tenés que sacrificar no es amor. Básico, simple. Y bueno, yo celebro el poder verlo y bueno, siempre me invito a volver a ver con detenimiento porque es riquísimo toda la información que da y bueno, y esto de el ejercitarme en el sentir, en cómo lo siento, ¿sí? Si es una adicción o viene del lado del sentir esta puerta que Dios abre, que siempre nos está invitando.
Sí, como se siente antes, ¿no? De ahí puede venir bien el tema de acostumbrarse a pararnos más, a respirar con el diafragma y más paseos, más cosas a veces, ¿no? Que a veces estamos muy encerrados en historias. Y no nos, claro, si no hacemos separaciones entre las cosas o es todo un continuo, a veces la vida, bueno, depende de en qué etapa estéis, ¿no? Pero se puede volver a hacer eso como un continuo anestesiado que en el fondo está pulsando entre estas dos que nos presentan aquí en el ciclo este, ¿no? Y en esta parte estamos reforzando creencias falsas con este tema de cuando tenemos el dolor y la frustración y el pánico, la ira de no satisfacer, la adicción, podemos reforzar mucho durante la vida. Y de hecho se han reforzado desde pequeños, ¿no? Y en este otro lado dice, pues cada vez que pasamos por esta parte, que estamos ya más al control, anestesiados, seguros, no aliviados, pues no es, cuanto más así, más pasamos por aquí, más lejos de la verdad o de Dios, ¿no? Y más miedo se va acumulando. O sea que lógicamente, ante no conocer este ciclo y la salida que viene aquí representada por esta flecha, se entiende, ¿no? Como acabamos locos. Si somos un alma, pues la gente acaba con todo tipo de enfermedades, acabamos incluso eso, pues enloquecidos del puro dolor del ciclo, ¿no? No se habla de desafiar las adicciones emocionales y por eso quería preguntaros si en alguno de vuestros cursos como profesoras o como eso hay algo que remotamente se le parezca de lo que habéis recibido o dado a niños pequeños. Creo que es más bien el caso de Clau, ¿no? Y en el caso tuyo, Ana Pilar, no sé muy bien, pero más grandes, ¿no?
Sí, ayer justamente charlaba con en realidad tengo que dar un tema que es el ADN y mi desafío es como que pregunto, que propongo, esto que decías vos, si hay algo comparativo en la forma en que trabajan AJ, Neri y Cornelio en generar la búsqueda de que la gente se vaya encontrando, indagando, ¿no? Les preguntaba qué información tenían ellos, qué sentían con respecto a lo que tenían que estudiar o leer.
Claro, no sé si quieres ir a parar al tema de tú invitarles a desafiar adicciones. Claro, ellos tienen la adicción a hacerte responsable a ti de las cosas, como profesora del Estado, no sé qué, pues la responsable. Yo me refería también, aparte de eso, que está muy interesante que comentemos alguna de sus estrategias o cosas para que ellos desafíen las adicciones y que podáis sobrevivir y no os peguen, digamos. Por un lado tenemos las estrategias que se le puede proponer a los niños para desafiar, pero yo me refería también en los temarios, en la forma de afrontar las emociones y todo eso. Es como que no se presenta así dinámicamente, ¿no? Está por un lado la espiritualidad, que va entrando de alguna manera, pero que es un poco anestesiante también. A lo mejor va entrando en algunas asignaturas, no sabemos, yo no lo sé. Y sí se va según qué países, según qué cosas. Pero este tema tan claro de insertar aquí las emociones y el desafío de las adicciones emocionales, bueno, ni siquiera supongo que existe ese concepto de las adicciones emocionales y de que lo hacemos todo impulsados en el fondo por compulsión a evitar heridas. Entonces están esas dos cosas. Por un lado, sí, estrategias de que los niños desafíen las adicciones y por otro lado, que si hay algo que se le parezca a esto en algún cursillo que habéis tenido que dar o recibir.
Lo que percibo, Iván, es que en la lógica, que bueno, que como estuvimos viendo, que el alma no está incorporada en ninguna de estas propuestas, digamos, incluso en ámbitos mucho más elevados, si se quiere, en cuanto a perspectiva, elevados, digo, que trascienden lo puramente físico, incluyo lo espiritual en esto, incluso con intervenciones alternativas que se llaman así, o medicinas alternativas, bueno, la cuestión energética como que llega hasta ahí todo, para el tratamiento, digo, por ahí complejo de este circuito en los jóvenes inclusive, lo digo por mis hijos, por ejemplo, que tuve casos sí de adicción de sustancias físicas, pero también otro tipo de desórdenes, producto justamente de esta crianza desamorosa, ¿no? que uno hace, digamos, de manera sistemática prácticamente. Y bueno, no resuelve, o sea, de ninguna manera, más allá de lo emocional, que por ahí es por decirte, se habla, es dialogado o emerge en una conversación y sale, bueno, un conflicto con el padre, un conflicto con la madre, como que todo hasta ahí se llega, pero nunca este atravesar emocionalmente y esta forma de comprometerse en profundidad, que no resuelve, porque incluso llegan a huir, que es lo que yo hice. Por ejemplo, te encontrás con la vergüenza y salís por la puerta de atrás, digamos, como que no la querés sentir, como no está reconocido el proceso completo y no querés sentir, entonces ni bien emerge, como hice yo, suprimir. Ahora ya mis hijos son adultos y claro, ahora les corresponde su libre albedrío, digamos, más que compartir y poder decirles, como les decía ayer, de alguna forma la verdad de lo que sentí, de cómo viví, de la situación en la que vivíamos y eso, pero que también ellos, por no sentir, tratan de minimizar. Bueno, pero no era tan así, bueno, mami, tal cosa, como que no hay una conciencia, no se atreven a esa profundidad, ¿no? Y todos los cambios que se pretenden hacer en cualquier tipo de adicción de las que tengamos, digamos, no solamente hablo de las sustancias, implica justamente este contacto verdadero con la emoción causal, a la que no llegamos. O sea, eso es lo que reconozco y celebro de la verdad divina, digamos, todo lo que había debajo.
Bueno, y en la cuestión de de los pasos de los alcohólicos anónimos que se está usando en varios sitios, ahí sí que toca más con este asunto, pero lo que pasa es que no tenemos la conciencia de que todos somos adictos. Sí, y está ahí como
¿estigmatizado o qué?
Sí, yo no lo conozco muy bien, pero si os acordáis, Marisol estuvo hablando de que había unos espirituales que habían usado una parte de los pasos esos para hacer unos retiros muy brutos y no sé qué. No sé, digo que si, por ejemplo, algunos materiales de educación emocional a lo mejor están inspirados en eso también, en algún sitio ya, por llamarlo de alguna manera, educación emocional, donde ahí sí que habría... o sea, el truco, ¿no? El truco de hablar de compulsión, de eso, aunque sea solo como para una cosa anecdótica, como has dicho, y estigmatizada, ¿no? Pero claro que ahora estamos viendo que es extrapolable a todo, es curioso. Extrapolable ya que tenemos las heridas en el alma y somos adictos a no sentirlas. Entonces, al final, por ahí es por donde podría haber una conexión muy, muy simplificadora de todas las historias, ¿no? Todas las asignaturas que fueran, pues eso, de educación sexual, emocional, no sé qué, no sé cuántos. Si este concepto de adicción, que parece clave, y respecto a eso, a las heridas emocionales, pero claro.
Sí, yo percibo de alguna forma que la diferencia radica principalmente en esta participación cuando dice, bueno, tenemos el regalo del libre albedrío, cuando habló Eloísa, podemos hacer algo con ella, y es justamente este deseo y esta voluntad. Pasa mucho con la condena social, por ejemplo, de que uno, entre comillas, es empujado a ese tipo de... O bueno, ahora entra en la formación también, la ley de educación, no sé si está ya la ley acá en Argentina, pero como que se promueve, siempre así escindida, recortada, fragmentada, así bastante, sí, limitada en cuanto a la perspectiva, y además con una idea de prescripción, digamos como que una secuencia y bien así, bien escolarizada. Pero a lo que iba con esto era que de alguna forma el resultado, digamos, al no ser, porque al no ser a partir del libre albedrío, digamos, está siendo impuesto, por lo tanto, de alguna forma no resuelve. Puede haber indicadores y puede haber gente que ha hecho el testimonio y que quizás se involucró y que desde el amor natural ha tocado, digamos, cierta profundidad y se ha sensibilizado y ha recuperado un poco la capacidad del alma sin saber que estamos hablando del alma, pero sí, esto animarse a sentir, pero son los menos. Y yo lo vivo con mis hijos eso, digamos, la recaída, entre comillas, recaída, porque en realidad nunca salió de ahí, siempre estuvo y quizás con menos intensidad nomás, pero la adicción siempre estuvo. Así que de alguna forma es como un paliativo, termina siendo, ¿no? Termina siendo un efecto así bastante... Lo mismo con la iglesia. La iglesia promueve este tipo de acciones. Iglesia, hablo de grupos religiosos, no iglesia católica, grupos religiosos que, bueno, sí, y ponen incluso a Dios como parte del proceso, pero al no incorporar el alma, se educa la conducta, digamos, estamos de nuevo como de alguna forma forzando la voluntad, y se los aísla, porque eso también era como que vimos en el video del libre albedrío, que en algunos casos es necesario ofrecerles espacio amoroso y alejar de personas que realmente no son amorosas y que contribuyen a esa adicción, pero acá se los aísla como un recurso justamente de desintoxicación, pero no se trabaja, como que debería ser permanente. Al no tocarse la emoción, lo digo reitero que lo digo por mi hijo, la reincidencia es, a largo plazo es altamente probable, porque no se tocó el vacío, el dolor, y realmente en el caso de Pablo, que fue al que yo tuve la intención de abortar, la herida es enorme, imagino, digamos, no puedo, pero no sé que yo pueda imaginar. Pero sé que estoy frente a una situación muy, muy dolorosa y responsable, involucrada. Entonces, por ahí eso es muy elocuente al momento de reconocer qué es lo que se pretende. Claro, estamos en modo huida constante de ese dolor tan, tan fuerte.
Sí. Bueno, y tú, Ana, ¿quieres comentar algo más y cerramos esta parte?
No, lo que comentabas de lo de educación, esto en la adicción, no hay nada escrito, es el desafío al que estamos invitadas. Y agradecer este laburo de traducción.
Se está cortando un poco, pero te he oído claro, sí.
Sí, gracias, Iván, cierto, sí. Me uno a la gratitud que siente Ana, sí, yo también.
Gracias, más o menos lo hago así medio rápido, pero hay que repasar ahí sí todos los estos, aunque lo haga el traductor, el DIP pero está muy bien así el tenerlos y verlos despacio y comentarlos, así que gracias.
Gracias.
Y entonces, ¿no queréis comentar de eso que decíamos, de la estrategia más por parte de Ana? Así que ya seguiremos con esto. Luego va a haber charlas de desafiar las adicciones y todo este tema que sigue. Y pues nada, nos despedimos de vuestro amado público también. Y
muchas gracias.
Y
sí,
gracias. Vamos a grabar.
Gracias.